From a eating witch to a massive Christmas cat with an insatiable appetite, here are 5 Christmas demons that you shouldn't summon. Number 5 on this list is the Nisse. The Nisse, or oftentimes called the Tomten, is a tiny little creature that resembles a gnome and comes from Scandinavian folklore. This little creature is said to live in someone's home all year round without us ever even knowing about it. It's around Christmas time though that some may become aware of his presence. During the rest of the year, the Tomten is said to protect the house and do good things for you, but around Christmas time, it feels like it deserves a little bit of a reward. A hard year of working and protecting should warrant some sort of gift to this little creature after all. If you don't give this little guy anything though, or offend him, then that's when things can go very badly for you. These tiny guys may appear small, but they have incredible strength for their size. They also have a very mischievous head on their shoulders as well. If you ever offend this creature or don't leave him a gift, then he'll start causing problems around your home. In fact, he'll become so mischievous and cause so many problems that it's said that he's caused people to lose their minds before. This is one outcome that's certainly not very desirable, but it may be even better than what some Tomtens do. Some of them, when they get super offended, don't even beat around the bush at all, but they'll reveal themselves to the homeowner and bite them. Now these are small little guys, so their bite wouldn't be massive, but it's said to have an extremely toxic venom that will take someone's life in minutes. This is one of those creatures where you need to actively make sure to not summon if you want to stay safe. Don't leave too much of a mess in your home, and make sure to include a tiny little gift come Christmas time, or else things around the house could start going wildly wrong. Number 4 on this list is Belsnickel. For those fans of The Office out there, you might be familiar with Belsnickel because Dwight actually comes dressed as him in one episode. The legend of Belsnickel comes from Germany and the Netherlands, similar to most of the Christmas time demon legends if I'm being honest. Unlike some of the other legends though, Belsnickel doesn't look too much like a demon, he actually kind of just looks like a man. Dressed in a massive fur jacket, Belsnickel is said to be a loud and crotchety man who determines whether children have been good or not. Although you can actually get rewarded from a visit from Belsnickel, you probably still don't want one because the punishment, it can be pretty harsh. Belsnickel will appear several weeks prior to Christmas and show himself to children. He'll then ask them if they've been good or not during the year. Based on their answers and how they respond, he's going to determine whether they deserve treats or to get punished. The treats are nice. He carries cakes and candies and nuts, and he'll give them to good children who've been nice all year long and show proper manners. The bad and greedy children though, they'll get the whip. A Philadelphia newspaper writes, Mr. Belsnickel makes his personal appearance dressed in skins or old clothes, his face black, a bell, a whip, and a pocket full of cakes or nuts. And either the cakes or the whip are bestowed upon those around. He will apparently the children who are bad senselessly and without mercy. The problem is you can't really do anything to summon him or not summon him. He sort of just decides to show up. Now he's only going to show up to children, so I suppose if you don't want to summon him then don't be a kid, but that really isn't in your control. If you are a kid though and you do run into him, then I highly recommend being as kind and reserved as possible. A nice chocolate cake is far better than the alternative in this case. Number 3 on this list is Gryla. The legend of Gryla comes from Iceland and is truly one of the most gruesome on this list. Gryla's appearance resembles her gruesome mannerisms as well. She's often depicted as a large witch-like troll with boils all over her face and a massive humpback. She's said to reside in the Icelandic mountains and around Christmas time comes down to hunt for children. Gryla is always hungry and the one thing that she wants to feast on is little kids. There's a historic passage that reads, down comes Gryla from the outer fields with 40 tails, a bag on her back, a sword in her hand, coming to carve out the stomachs of the who cry for meat during Lent. So yeah, I mean a lot different than your typical jolly Christmas carol. Gryla also hasn't just eaten before. Although that's her primary meal of choice these days, apparently she ate one of her former husbands simply just because she got bored with him. She's also accompanied by the Yule lads. There are 13 of these tiny little dwarves and they're all evil and mischievous just like Gryla. I avoided putting Gryla onto the initial list because even though she's potentially the most sadistic Christmas demons that I've ever come across and will literally take little children to her mountain cave and boil them alive before eating them, there's actually no way to summon her or to stop her from coming. Most Christmas demons go after who've been bad, but Gryla doesn't care. Bad, good, mediocre, doesn't matter how you've acted, you'll still taste the exact same to Gryla. Lucky for most of us, she only lives in Iceland and doesn't seem to travel to other countries. But everybody, let's toss some prayer emojis in the comments for our Icelandic viewers out there. They might need them this Christmas if they get visited from Gryla. Number 2 on this list is the Yule Cat. The Yule Cat, believe it or not, is actually the pet of Gryla and her 13 Yule lads. This isn't your standard cute house kitty though. Google describes this feline as a huge and vicious cat who's described as lurking about the snowy countryside during Christmas time and eating people who have not received any new clothes to wear before Christmas Eve. That's right guys, similarly to Gryla, this cat couldn't care less about how you've acted this year round. It only cares that you managed to get some sort of new clothing, which frankly is kind of ridiculous. Like, what if somebody doesn't get us any clothing prior to Christmas time? We actually have no control over this. And people have commented on how silly this legend is before as well. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. But we have to factor in how it all started. The legend makes a ton of sense if you happen to be a farmer who happened to farm wool and who had to motivate their workers to process all of the autumn wool before Christmas time. Apparently, this is where the legend began and kind of took off in Iceland after that. Nowadays though, the legend is massive, even more massive than Gryla herself. So basically, if you live in Iceland and don't want to summon this beast, then you'd better make sure that at least one present under the Christmas tree is some new clothing. Number 1 on this list is Krampus. Krampus is a pretty nasty demon and probably the most well-known Christmas demon worldwide. The word Krampus originates from the German word Krampen, which means claw. This makes a lot of sense because Krampus has some pretty menacing claws. In fact, his entire appearance is pretty menacing. Krampus is often depicted as a massive hairy creature with hooves for feet, goat horns on its head, and a long snake-like tongue. Typically, he's got a large basket on his back and carries a bunch of wood branches with him at all times. Being basically the antithesis to Santa Claus, this basket on Krampus's back isn't filled with a bunch of presents, it's actually filled with children that Krampus has kidnapped and is currently taking back to his lair. The bundle of wood branches isn't just a woodland accent to his appearance either, it's used to beat that he kidnaps. At least that's how some of the legends go. Other variations of this legend indicate that Krampus actually travels with St. Nicholas on December the 5th, and while Nick is doling out presents, Krampus is doling out beatings. Whether it's a kidnapping or an impromptu beating from Krampus, you certainly don't want to summon him if you can avoid it. Sadly, it may be too late at this point though to not summon him. Krampus, like most of our other Christmas demons, appears to bad children. If you've been bad all year long, then there really isn't anything to be done at this point and you may just get a visit from him. That being said, in the 2015 horror comedy movie Krampus, there's an inciting incident where one of the main characters rips up his letter to Santa Claus and that acts as the summoning tool for Krampus. The one positive for those of you watching in North America though is that sightings of Krampus are few and far between over here. Most of the legends and sightings have only happened in Austria, Germany, and those areas around Europe. If you do happen to live in one of those countries though, then I hope you've been good this year, because if not, you may have inadvertently summoned Krampus. Well, there you have it guys, that is our list of the top 5 demons you shouldn't summon at Christmas time, part 2. Comment down below what you thought about this list and some other Christmas demons that I may have missed. I've been your host Nicholas Playlog, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.